Okay, so let's get into it. So, whether you're creating a new product or if you're creating a new opportunity for your life, design thinking is a framework that'll get you through that process step by step with allowance for you to be iterative, start over, to reframe, to go back and do things differently as needed. So, I want to introduce you to the 5 steps of design thinking. The first step is to empathize, and you can follow along here with me as I go through these steps. The first step is the empathize, and what you will do in the empathize phase is to learn about how your views and interests shape you. We've talked a bit about that. We'll go into more detail as we go. The second phase is define. That phase is about considering what challenges you're interested in solving. Once you know yourself and you know what challenges you want to solve, then you can then create things that are uniquely designed to suit you. So that's when you move into the third phase, which is the ideate phase. And in that phase, you start to brainstorm and come up with creative options. Those creative options are going to look like life plans and alternatives that are uniquely suited for you. The fourth phase of that is a prototype. And prototype might seem a little fuzzy for you because it is a concrete term. We think of a prototype as something that I can physically or tangibly hold. But in this sense, a prototype is an opportunity for us to think or talk or get to an influencer and actually test out some of our thoughts and if make concrete some of our thinking. And so we have prototypes for that phase. So we identify influencers and we start to share ideas with them and then test. So while it would seem that that prototype phase is when we were actually testing ideas, it is not. That influencer phase or that prototype phase is where we go when we make concrete some of our thoughts and our ideas by bringing in other individuals who have some of the experience we do not. Test is when we have made some of those ideas more concrete. We've started to bring in the thoughts and ideas and we've solidified those ideas. And now it's time to actually put rubber to the road. And this is when we go out and we actually do. And this is not the end. So, with other frameworks where you feel like you are trying to get to step 5 and you're done, that is not the intent of this framework. This framework is to say, I will start with empathize. I will really understand myself. I will define problems. I will ideate them. And then it becomes an iterative process. So, in any of us who are in technology fields, you'll know this as the agile process where we start to ideate and we figure out, oh, this doesn't necessarily work from the prototype phase. And I go back and I ideate again. Or I learned, hey, I wasn't quite clear on the definition. And this wasn't necessarily a realistic thought. And I go back and I redesign or rethink the definitions there. So this becomes an iterative process. And for those of you who you want things concrete and final. You want to see things come to an end. Don't worry. This does have some finality to it, and that we do create plans, 5-year plans. And so you will see that a little later on. But I don't want you to get into the mindset of, I'm trying to get to a destination. This is a journey. And so you need to get into the mindset of this is continual. And so I'm changing from those ideas of I need to go through elementary to middle to high school to college to final and live my life. That is not the world that we want you to be in. We want you to be into a world where we are continually learning, we are continually changing, and we are adjusting to things as we get new feedback at all times. Okay. So these are the steps. We want you to learn the steps. I want you to get comfortable with the steps. You should be able to know where you are. I encourage you to have someone like me as a coach to walk you through these steps so that when you get to phases and you feel like you're stuck, you have someone who can help you get through the stages. That's not a plug. That is someone that'll help you, but we'll talk about that in the influencer phase. So, what's most important? because we talked a bit about mindsets without using the word mindset. What's most important in this phase, what I want you to take away from this, are the mindsets for design thinking. If you if you retain the mindset that you're trying to get to a destination, this will not work for you. If what you want is to figure out how to go find the next job and what I need to do to get the next job, this is not a mindset that will work for you. This mindset is about curiosity. You have to be curious about who you are and what's going to make the world better for you. But you got to be open to finding opportunities everywhere that may not exist. So it's not going to be wake up tomorrow morning, open LinkedIn, see what LinkedIn has open out there, apply for 8 hours today, close LinkedIn, go to bed, get up tomorrow, apply. That mindset creates a destination. You're looking for the next job. This mindset, this new mindset is what problems are out here needing to be solved. Maybe I open my computer in the morning and I read LinkedIn for what challenges are out here. What is in their news feed? What opportunities? Maybe I start to network with individuals in LinkedIn to ask questions. What challenges are you facing? What problems are you trying to solve? Maybe I use LinkedIn more as it was intended to network into get into groups and talk about things that I'm curious about. Because the day of just going and applying for a job, there's going to be so many other people who are just as qualified, if not more qualified, for that same job. It's going to be more competitive than it was before. And getting visibility to those jobs is going to require you do something different. So why not make that different? Be the person who is doing things from a different approach. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to open you up to. Another part of a different mindset is have a bias to action. I know that sounds so sophisticated, right? What does that mean? A bias to action. Well, that means trying things, right? That means this may sound silly, this may sound crazy, or I may not know this person, but I'm going to go ahead and try to reach out to them. I'm going to try to forge a connection, or I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. This is new and foreign to me, but I'm absolutely going to open myself up to it and I'm going to try. And by doing that, you break down those fears that we have about a fear of rejection or a fear of someone thinking something silly or, those vulnerabilities that we don't have. I don't know something. Someone's going to think I'm silly. You have to have a bias to action. You have to try things. You have to be open to trying things. The next mindset change is reframing your thoughts. If you want to get unstuck, you must be ready to reframe your thoughts. You're going to fail at some things. I give you great tools for how you can just note those failures down. Where were they mistakes? Where were they truly just opportunities to do things better? You have to learn to turn your failures into opportunities to do something differently. And note them, don't hide them, don't shy away from them, be real about them, but reframe those opportunities. And also reframe your thoughts. If you're walking around saying, I was a senior executive at XYZ Corporation and was let go. I must not be the cream of the crop. I must be outdated and obsolete because, of course, the company is only going to keep those who are the best. Instead, you should look at it as wow, I've gained a lot of knowledge and experience and network as a senior executive at XYZ Corporation. And now that I have been let go from that organization, I can now leverage that to do something that I'm interested in doing or do something better. Well, I learned a lot about what needs to be done differently in this industry. And now I can do things that I never had the courage to do. Reframing is all about taking what we would consider negative because we believe others believe it to be negative and seeing it as a positive, no matter what anyone else thinks. no matter what everyone else believes, no matter, because no one has actually said those things. Okay. You are thinking those things, but no one has actually said those things. And even if they say them, that's one voice. Okay. What matters most is your voice. And what matters most is your ability to take that feedback and not allow it to completely derail you. It matters that you can take that feedback and place it in its proper place as one piece of feedback and leverage it in a way that you can use it either as something as a failure or mistake or something that I can do better. But don't allow it to completely derail you. Okay. We talked about awareness, self awareness. Your life design is a process, and you have to know yourself. You have to know what opportunities are out there. You have to know what challenges are available. You cannot be unaware of the realities around you, especially with who you are. If you were in a job before and you can't clearly identify the things that you absolutely hated about that job, or clearly identify those things that you loved about that job, things that you can clearly say, when I do this, I get into a state of flow, then you are unaware of opportunities or who you are. So you have to really dig into those things, you guys. So I want you to, those are some of the, mindsets. And then radical collaboration. So I will be forthright here. This is where I had a real change in my thought process and a breakthrough. So being an introvert, I'm being, vulnerable here and just sharing and transparent, but being an introvert, I enjoy time to myself. I spend that time really thinking through things and being analytical. And what I didn't understand is that the time that I forfeited with others was time that I forfeited in collaborating and actually spending less time getting things done because I could get more thoughts around what would be best and what other people thought and what other challenges there were. While I was trying to figure it all out on my own, I was forfeiting a lot of feedback from others who could influence me getting things done faster, more efficiently, better, because I just enjoyed figuring out things on my own. I was a problem solver. I'm a puzzle solver. I want to sit down and figure it out. You have to find balance, right? So our extroverts are going to do really well with this because they love the collaborative piece about this. But what we have to do though is not only collaborate and be in teams and be supportive, but we have to solicit feedback when we're in those teams, right? It can't be just, oh, we're together and we're talking whatever, but what is the valuable feedback that needs to come out of this, right? Reach out to the world, figure out what they need, the world will reach back. Don't be afraid. If you have a limited network, start with who you have. Tell people what you need. Tell them what you're trying to accomplish. Don't worry about getting it right. Don't worry about it being imperfect. Just get it done. Talk to people. You need a network. You cannot do this in silos. Okay. So, for my introverts, I love you. I understand. I understand when you don't have the social currency. I understand when you don't have the network. Start with those other introverts because they understand. Let them know I need help here. And we all know the extrovert who pulls us out of our shell. Get them on your team of influencers. Let them know this is my weakness. This is my challenge. I'm terrible at this and I need help. Get them on your team. They will help you. Okay. So, you guys, just to recap, there are 5 steps to this framework, the design thinking framework. And that is the pillar of this, aside from change management and for you going back and learning where you on the change curve, which is also important. I want to start with the design thinking part for this course. In this course, the 5 steps for that framework include empathize, where you're going out and figuring out who you are, define, considering what challenges and opportunities you want to solve, ideate, where you're brainstorming about what in ways you can do this. Like, how many ideas can I come up with? Prototype. Those are your opportunities. Find influences, identify those people who can help you make these opportunities real and answer your questions and challenge your questions. And then test. That's where we put the rubber to the road. We get out there and we do it. And then we find out where we have opportunities to circle back and ideate in different definitions if necessary. We'll talk about what that looks like. But also, most importantly, this requires a mindset change. You need to stay curious. You need to have a bias to action. You need to go out here and try things. Reframe your mindset, right? You need to reframe your mindset. Be open to trying new things. Get unstuck. Are you working on the right things, right? Awareness. I'm a change manager. Awareness. Everything starts with awareness. You can get past any change if you have an awareness of who you are, why things are changing, what needs to change, what people need, who they are, where they're blocked. Always be curious and get an awareness. And then radical collaboration. Can't do this alone. You have to have a team, people who are going to be supportive of you and to help you in ways where you may not be strong. And you have to be honest. Forgive me for these faces, but this is the reality of who I am. Be honest about who you are, because that will be honest about what you need and the people that you need to support you. Okay? So that is my recap for this course. This is Design Thinking, the beginning. We are going to launch the empathize phase, the very first phase. I hope you didn't think this was it. That could be, in and of itself, a good overview course. If this is all you have time for, this is a good overview course. But as with habit, I would not leave you with just an overview. We're going to go into each one of these phases. And in the next video, we'll start with empathize. So I'll see you there.